Hi, what we're going to do today, we're out at lovely Mount Vanel. I wanted to go outside to do this one. It's a great day for filming and do what it's like for me to touch up a blade after I've been using it for a month or so. And strangely, we've been using this knife. This is a Miyabi Artisan. It's made of SG2 powdered steel. It's got a Rockwell hardness of about, it's not cutting that well. You'll see what I mean. I've dulled this actually on the concrete a couple of times before we started, and I'm doing it again, and it's still cutting through paper pretty well. It's a very hard steel. It's very, you don't want to be cutting open a butternut squash with this knife because it will chip. If you do, you can fix it. But what we'll do is just touch it up. It obviously needs touching up. I use paper to kind of give me a guide, and I can feel how sharp the knife is. So we're going to start with 1,000 grit, pre-soaked King sharpening stone, Japanese. Really great stone. I've got a 6,000 that I'm going to finish off with. But the main thing to learn, I've just recently learned how to do this, is to keep your pressure with this hand and do about 4 to 6 pounds. If you've got a male carrier's, the scale they have at the post office, you can kind of measure that, but it doesn't have to be exact. But I think most people make the mistake of having too little pressure. I start at the top of the stone, I put my pressure, and I lighten. When I first start, I want to find out where the edge is. These come out of the box, these Miyabis, at 9 degrees. So you want to feel where that edge is. And what you do is tilt up a little bit. You can feel it drag against the cutting edge. You tilt back, you can start to feel the edge, the flat surface. Then you tilt back a little bit, and it starts to kind of skip. And that's the finish of the knife that you're running into. So there's no need to worry about angle. The knife will just teach you what that is, and it's actually intuitive. It's so much easier than it seems. And then you just start taking back strokes. And what I'm going to do is a number of these on one side and raise what we call a micro burr. I hold it like this. That's important too, is to maintain your angle. I'm not using pressure with this hand, I'm using it with this hand. And it'll grind right through. I recently learned from in my opinion, a better knife sharpener right in the middle of doing this. It seems to work on longer knives to just not turn it at all and keep your pressure point in the middle. And it's actually a little faster. But focusing that pressure on the center of the stone. The exciting part for me is I used to have to get these things professionally done. And I went for a number of cooking sessions with a dull knife and just put up with it. And now I don't have to do that. So this is, for me, pretty exciting to be able to just have mastery of this so quickly. Thought it'd take me a year to learn how to do this. When the stone starts to get dry, I just carry, at home I've got water and things like that to put on there. And just kind of, you got a feel for it already, and just keep pulling back. Forward is not a good idea, especially beginning, because you'll go into the stone and have to start over your whole sharpening process. Okay. Sorry, this is kind of a look down kind of thing, so I'm not looking up very much. Can tilt it a little bit, kind of focus on the tip. That's a really neglected part of the knife, and really that's where I do my onions and any kind of fine work, is the tip of this thing. It's not going to be an exact thing, but I guarantee you it's going to be way better than not doing this. In most kitchens like mine, You know, I did at least buy a magnet to put my knives on to keep them out of the silverware drawer. But you know how it goes. I grew up my whole life with the knife being in the silverware drawer. And frankly, our butter knives were a little bit sharper than our chef and steak knives. It's just how it was. Okay, I'm gonna feel along the edge. Wow, I've got a burr. I've got a nice burr. I didn't expect that. So that came along really nice. What I do to take the burr off, this seems crazy, but if you've got a piece of wood, I'll usually take the side of this sometimes, but I'm gonna use this. I'm gonna knock, there's a little burr that's leaned to one side, and I just knock it off with like a piece of wood. Make sure that that burr is coming off, or down at least. Okay, it's not jagged anymore. Then I start on the other side and do the same thing. Pressure on the center. And keep in mind, we're just touching this knife up. You know, some knives, I worked on my sister's knife. We were up in Colorado, and that thing had been in the silverware drawer probably since it was purchased. And it took me almost an hour to get the edge back on that blade. This is a fun thing to do. This little stone here is a 1000 grit king. It cost me $21 on Amazon. I highly recommend starting out with something like this. You need a Chaucera is another stone I'm wanting to get. It's an 800 grit, a little more efficient. I just wanted to see what I could do with this, because this is a rather iconic sharpening stone as far as soaking stones go. I'm not counting the strokes, I'm just kind of feeling. You get a real sense of how this is coming along in your fingertips as you're putting pressure. And you can hear it, very important. So it's a really tactile experience and very, very enjoyable. And you'll never have a dull knife in your house. Okay. I'm gonna feel for a burr on this side. We're not there yet. Need to just keep going. This is only 9 degrees. I'm probably putting 6 to maybe even 8 pounds of pressure on this. Very hard steel. 63 Rockwell is, it's not an exact number when you see that when you're purchasing a knife. It's a rough estimation. It just means it's a harder steel. Versus the Wüsthof, which that steel is extremely consistent. A 20-year-old knife is the same as the one you bought today. That steel never changes. It's a softer steel, much more durable, less likely to chip. The angle out of the box on that is 22 degrees. I used one of those for 25 years and love them. Okay, we're getting close to this side over here now. Staying in the center, I forget who I was watching. I watch YouTube videos all the time, and he was saying, yeah, just keep your pressure in the center of the stone. And that is excellent advice. It made my job so much easier. Okay, I'm gonna knock the burr off again. I was really afraid to do this at first. I thought I was messing up my job. But it's essential. Going back, I do this 3 times when I'm really doing a knife and I really want to get it sharp. I'll knock that burr off in between each stroke. I mean, in between each flip of the knife. Now here I'm gonna lighten the pressure. I'd say 2 pounds. That was a mistake I made when I first started, is I was bearing down on this blade and couldn't figure out why I wasn't getting sharp, and I found out that, yeah, I was just rolling over the edge. It was great, it was nice and sharp, but I just kept rolling it over, making it dull. Okay, back on this, a little lighter. The King takes a few more strokes to get the same job done. They're great stones. It's just a little more, you know, maybe 5 extra strokes for each turn that you do, which doesn't bother me. I love these stones. Don't be afraid to put your fingertips right near the business end of this knife. I was scared of that. You'll be surprised when you're actually yourself doing it. You don't feel any intimidation. You realize it's not dangerous. So that way the pressure is toward where you need it. You put it back here, you're gonna get a wavy kind of thing going on. You don't want that at all. I'm back to pressing again. I need to lighten up. Now, I'm gonna flip this over. I'm gonna knock the burr off one more time, flip it, and then we're gonna do light pressure on this side. I've flipped it. I'm just gonna do a couple of strokes. When you get good at this, you're gonna, being left or right-handed, I'm left-handed, but you're gonna wanna do maybe a 70-30 edge, to where your edge leans to one side or the other to help with your cutting. And you'll learn how to do that just by doing this. I don't think anybody would even have to teach you. Just do more strokes on one side and lean it. Let's go light. Always knock the burr off. Now let's go super light. Just actually no pressure whatsoever. That's really the key, because you're climbing up the edge right onto the end where the sharpness exists, and you're really combing those. They look like fibers. The steel sticks up like a comb, and you're just making it absolutely straight. Very light pressure, non-existent pressure. How's that coming along? That is good. That is good. Okay, I'm going to deburr a little bit, believe it or not, a little bit of a deburr. Lighten the pressure. This is the same pressure that, you know, if you're a shaver, you know, most people are. You use light pressure when you shave, and this is the kind of pressure I'm talking about. Okay, now I'm gonna do one pass on pretty much right here. Just climbing along rather rapidly, just doing basically one pass along the length and flipping it over and doing one pass. It's very light. I may cheat, and since this is so light, this is much quicker. And then flip it. This is like stropping. Very light. I'm by no means a professional at this. I just learned it, and I've had success. In fact, the first day, I just couldn't believe how easy it was. Following very simple rules. Now let's dry it off. I brought a thing to dry it off with. And let's see how it feels. This is not for showing off. This is actually, it makes a sound that you can hear as the sharpener, and you can kind of feel when it's cutting through the paper where the dead spots, if there are any. And it'll just cut right through very, very easily. And to finish it out, if you want to get it a little sharper, you can almost shave with this thing, is just do the same stropping technique on this stone right here. I'll just do a couple of swipes. This is the 6000 grit king, and you just keep going ultra light and just strop it. This stone is much more expensive than that one. That was 21. This is about 40, I think, when I bought it. But boy, you can polish that edge if you like that. In the kitchen, I tend to like just the edge that's sort of rough. There we go. That's gonna be finished out. So this is really quick. If you're a chef, I apologize in advance. I'm not. I'm just a home cook. When I get my Bob Kramer 52-100 steel knife, which I'm just dreaming about, I'll show you how to sharpen that. I can't wait for that steel. But this works beautifully now. It's just super easy. This will work great on tomatoes, as you might guess. So, magazine paper's a good one to do it. Newspaper's good, but it's just super nice. These are great knives. I like the handle. So, if you're in the market, thank you for watching.